Hey guys, Thomas Bird here with Tabletop Life. I know it's been a while since we last put out a video. I've got a lot of comments for those that saw me out at LVO and Warzone. When are we going to put out some new videos? So here I am, new video, Arcs of Omen. We're ready to start a new season. Sorry for the absence. With all the painting that we had to do for Warzone and LVO, testing a list, remodeling the studio. You see a little bit of it in the background. It's not fully done. We got a lot of exciting content coming for you. So sorry about the delay, but we're back and we're about to jump into it. So today I'm going to be playing Leagues of Votan. I do have some Ultramarine content for those loyal Boys in Blue fans coming. It's been back and forth on which ones I want to play because Marine's got a lot of good stuff. Ultramarine's very exciting. Lots of options, lots of new units to test out. But also, I've been on this Leagues of Votan kick and now we've got it all changed. New point increases, new detachment. New missions slightly, so want to tweak those, want to play those. We have some big tournaments coming up. Cherokee Open here in the next couple of weeks, so lists are due soon. So I have to make my design and list and get it submitted here in the next week or so. So I want to do some last minute testing, so you're going to see a little bit of that. So apologize for models not painted all the way. Still testing Thunderkin. I really loved them from the beginning, so now they're cheaper. So we're going to test some Thunderkin today. So yeah, exciting time. So we'll jump into the list, go through that, and then we'll see what mission we're going to play. So many armies, so little time. So this is just a fraction of all the models I still have to unpack. They're just armies everywhere. So when we talk about playing armies on camera, in the studio, it's very interesting to kind of pull out what army we want to play and what models we have. Obviously, the Ultramarine collection, it can't even fit on all the shelves, so I just have a few shelves populated here. Iron Hands, all the Death Watch. Got lots of these trophies. Everybody's just kind of stuffed in boxes, packed up. So once the studio gets all up and running, we'll have a big video kind of going over that. But we're not here for that right now. Let's take a look at the list that we're playing. This Leagues of Votan. I know those Ultramarines are calling my name, but we're going to play some leagues right now. I think that's the list I want to play for the next tournament. But this list, if I end up liking it, has quite a bit of stuff that's not painted. So a week or two, it's going to be a lot of work for me. So let's dive in real quick. Arcs of Omen changed up things. Obviously, from a points perspective, we lost a few points. So my old list from Warzone Atlanta went up 90 points. But with the detachment and the reserves, it makes some units a lot more interesting. And they also lower price of Thunderkin, my favorite unit. I love the way they look. I really want them to work. So we're going to try them out. We got not just one, but 2 units of Thunderkin. And I'm going to be playing some with some SP conversion beams as well. So a little unorthodox. You don't see tons of lists running those. So it should be fun. So Arcs of Omen, obviously, we are playing a High Khal. This guy is not the Warlord. Actually, I go back and forth whether he's being worth him being the Warlord, but he has the long list and Grudges end, so he can be the sniper call, hand out recycle judgment tokens. When it works great, it's fantastic. If our opponent has lots of snipers, the call is always, wanting to stick his head out, but also not wanting to get shot. The Master Armor, basically the Super Tech Marine, he's got the Warlord trait, and he's the Warlord. So I go back and forth. The reason why it matters is the Warlord getting killed, there's a strat to just make that unit have judgment tokens basically for your whole army. So potentially if you get sniped out or killed, you can spend the strat and basically have super hate for that unit. So I'm like, which unit is more vulnerable to be getting killed? Usually that is the call. But then I'm also like, if they're taking Assassinate, which most people don't take against Votan, then do I want to give up extra points? So usually this guy's much more durable. So it's kind of back and forth, whether such a nuanced choice matters. But and then I do have Grimnyr in this just the basic one, even though he went up to 100 points. He's still good. I like getting the extra command points. It matters. And then when you need Feel No Pain, the 6-up, Fortify is just better than nothing. Like if you're playing against any kind of mortal wounds, making an extra toughness, it's relevant. Going into the rest of the list, we have 2 units of elites. We have the Berserks. We have 1 unit of axes and 1 unit of concussion mauls. I like having them mixed situationally. It matters. Sometimes axes are better. Sometimes mauls are better. Rerolls. It's all situationally. So I just haven't found one to be just ultimately superior than the other. If you only have one, it starts to become a little bit of a challenge, but I do like having 2 units. I had extra points just the way that it worked out, so I do have points for both units to have mole launchers. I do like the mole launchers situationally. It's fantastic if you can make somebody fight last. If they're a heavy melee unit, they definitely don't want to charge berserks when they're fighting last, so you can just get a free kill out of it. But, that's a high strat CP usage. It's very rare. Sometimes just outline shooting matters. Just 1 or 2 guys hiding behind a wall. It can come in handy. It's usually more a token of pride. If you kill somebody with a mole launcher, you can just lord it over them. Ha ha ha! The mole launcher has killed something. Because usually it doesn't wound. And then we got the fast. So in this list, that's my main detachment is the fast. I have 2 units of Sagittar. I broke them up into 2 units because I didn't have any warriors to kind of combat squad into them. That way I can just put in the berserks straight away. And then if you put them as 1 squadron, it forces you to deploy them as 1 unit within 6 before they separate. So sometimes you want to have them far away from each other. So having the extra slot is nice to just kind of keep them separate. And since I'm not taking any warriors, it doesn't really matter about them combat squatting. I do love warriors. I'm real sad. That's the one thing about this list. You could easily probably sub in a unit of Thunderkin for warriors, which kind of sounds crazy, but warriors are great. So we'll see how I do or don't like that without warriors. Them going up in points, it hurts. The other 3 fasts, we just have 3 units of 3 bikes. Pretty mainstay. It's hard to go down to 2 bikes. You definitely would love to have 4-man units just to have another body, have the multi-comms array. But in this list, I just have the standard kind of loadout. You have the searchlight, you have the scanner, and you have the rotary cannon. 3 units of 3. And on the heavy side, like I said, there they are in their glory, still unpainted, blue tack together. Fortunately, these models are probably easier to paint quickly if you keep the guns separate, but I like to play with the fully built model, so it's kind of hard for me to just put them on the table in this kind of half-finished state. But I'm not quite sure if I want grav cannons or SP conversion, so I'm trying to make some decisions before I commit to the build. But in this list, I have 5 SP conversions. Pretty pricey. That's a 200-point unit. I have 1 Hecaton land fortress, just 1 tank. You always talk about 2 tanks. But what do you have if you take 2 tanks? You lose a lot of boots on the ground. So this list has relatively a lot of bodies for a Votan list. So we'll see if that comes back to bite me. It does have just the bolters and the big beam, so not all beams, just 1 big beam. And the second unit of a Thunderkin, just 4. This is the grav. So with 4 guys, they can actually fit in a land fortress. With 5, they can't. But the beams really are suited for outflanking, putting in reserve. They could just walk on 34 inches, much more likely to get multiple guys set up in their beams. So it makes for an interesting combination. With the land fortress, you can do a maximum beam damage with the mortal wound strat. And I think if you're not kind of taking advantage of beams with Ymyr, you're kind of missing out on half of what makes the army great. I mean, the invulnerable saves, it's hard to pass up, but having the beams and doing mortals against some armies like demons, it's really good. I guess that's it. One last thing we noticed on here, we have the missile launchers. So I was running autocannons. It does cost me an extra 20 points. That could get me more Thunderkin. That could get me a different unit if I take out more launchers. It's interesting. Start subbing around points, especially when you look at Marines where everything is free. So there's not really this kind of, let me save 5 points here and upgrade a different unit. You really kind of stuck in no man's land with Marines now. But I like the missile launchers. This list ends up having lots of multi-damage, 3 damage hits in this list. You got the 2 3s on the gravs. You got the 3s here. You got the big 4s here. These have D6 damage and 3 damage. So this list really will hit hard on big damage stuff. Playing against Custodes or something with 3 wound models possessed with Chaos, the new world eaters coming out. There's a lot of possibilities just to scoop up guys. But that's the list for the Votan side. Let's see, we'll put these guys the list in the comments, pin in the description. So if you have any comments or questions about the list, feel free to let me know. It does start with 3 CP, so that's a big luxury for me, for Votan. So I'll be excited to see, have lots of resources. But let's go take a look at the other opponent and see what we're playing against.
All right, Pro Tabletop fans, we have some interesting stuff today. We've got the Votan versus Guard. So I'm trying out new Guard. I have some different ideas, but we're Playing with a few proxies, so you got to bear with us, picking up some models to borrow from the tournament tomorrow that we're going to. But this is the list that I'm taking. It is Born Soldiers, which I think is going to be kind of the standard for Guard, which is it extends your order range for commanders, but it also gives you it's essentially old Guard 6s to hit with ranged weapons auto wound. Really cool, and they have a strat to make that 5. So you can actually push out some DACA with that. But for today, we have it's an Arcs of Omen detachment, doubling down on heavy support as you do with Guard. I've got 3 mortar squads, full bore, all 3 guys in each. I have 4 Lehman Russ battle tanks, all kitted exactly the same with the plasma cannon on top, and then triple flamers, which I think is pretty cool. In terms of HQs, I have Lord Solar, obviously, because he's the man. I've got Ursula Creed with her Warlord trait, Master Tactician, which allows me to redeploy. And then I also have a Cadian command squad with the special banner that allows me to ignore phase caps, but also hit roll and ballistic skill modifiers, which is really, really good for the mortars and killing pesky Satans and stuff like that. And then the last HQ that I have is a tank commander. He has a relic as well as a warlord trait. His relic is the Gatekeeper, so it's basically just a super battle cannon. It gives him D3 plus 6 shots at strength 9 minus 3 damage, so really powerful. And then he also has Grudges End. So at the start of the game, I get to pick a unit in my opponent's army, and for the rest of the game, squadron and infantry models within 6 of him get +1 to wound against that. So against Thomas's Hecaton, I think it's going to be really powerful for all the tanks, and then even the infantry too. I think it could be pretty important. And then we have, in the fast attack slot, we have 2 units of Rough Riders with the exploding lances, or the lances that was set incorrectly. Not the melt lances, the lances that when you hit, they explode into additional hits, and they're all damaged too. And then I have a Scout Sentinel just to stop some of those pregame moves and some of those shenanigans where armies can get on top of me really quickly. And then I have 3 units of Casterkins. They're all kitted slightly different in terms of the special trait that they get. So this tan squad over here has a couple of things. So they have the Barbican's Key, which is a relic that you can give to a unit, which allows them to teleport in the movement phase, which is super powerful on Guard or on Casterkin specifically. And then they also have heirloom weapons. So all their las guns are +4 inch range, which is super powerful. And then I have two more Casterkin squads, one with recon operator, so they get a 6-inch pregame move, and then one with veteran guerrillas, so they ignore cover within 18. And then I have just 2 box standard infantry squads just to play the mission and things like that. And I think that was the longest intro that I've ever given in my history of recording battle reports on this channel, because holy crap, it's a lot of stuff. But let's see how it goes.
All right, we're here. We've rolled for the mission. We've set up the ITC terrain. Joe's trying to look up some last-minute rolls to save him. There's a lot of smack talking going on in the background. You are not... you're all missing, unfortunately. It's very funny. Also, you'll probably appreciate the secondaries that I chose, because it's really a lot of smack talking. So Death and Zeal is the mission. Here we go. We got the quarters. We get points for killing stuff and being on objectives that we weren't on. Sticky objectives. Over here, the secondaries. Joe's gone with the standard guard stuff. Flexible, boots, banners. I've gone with lay claim. Grind, very, very interesting choice. And assassinate. I'm just like all in. I'm just going to kill him. I'm not scared. I have no respect for the guard. He's going to mortal wound me, and I'm like, well, I don't believe it. So we'll see what actually happens. But, I got some tricks. I got some Votan tricks. So let's go to deployment. We'll come back after all the models are on the table and see who's going first. All right, we've deployed. There's so much guard stuff. I can't help but laugh. Something's going to get beamed. I only get to beam once, but it's going to be a lot of stuff. He does have a redeploy, so he's deployed some stuff kind of aggressively. Oh, I'll hand the camera to him and let him give his thoughts, but just taking a look at it. Look at all these mortars. These are the jumpy Casterkins, so ideally I'd love to kill them. But he's got, this is the Sentinel stand-in. It's freaking on an 80 mil base, according to the GW website, so that's kind of crazy town how big that is. Over here, I've got a little bit of hiding. This ruin is deceptively not great at concealing stuff. If he goes first, he could do some damage to me, but all part of my plan. It is sticky objective, so if I go first, I could, move my bikes into position. He's only got one thing to deploy, so if he pulls those tanks back, I would love to see where he puts them. So much smack talk is happening. All right, Joe, I'll let you handle it. What do you think about this deployment? Do you feel good about this?
Well, I mean, this is the first time that I've deployed. This is the first time I played Guard in general, so lots of learnings. I think having a redeploy is really cool with a shooting army because you can just be hyper aggressive with a lot of components of the army and not really worry about it. Because if I don't go first, this tank and this tank are definitely gone, and then like Thomas said, I have no idea where I'm going to put them. So yeah, I mean, I think probably should have reserved maybe one or both of the non-jumping Casterkin units, but you live and you learn. Rough Riders are big footprints too, and they just die like victims. So this is it should be interesting. It's gonna be fun. That's the moral of the story is it's gonna be a fun game.
There'll definitely be a lot of depth stuff, but we'll see. He did from an objective standpoint. These are my lay claims. So he put two pretty far back in the corner, so I don't really love that. He put the last one way over here out in the middle of nowhere, so also not great for me. So I have to complete my plan of destroying him if I want any hopes of holding on to that. Maybe late game if I'm still alive, if I go second. In reserves, I have the big 5-man unit of beams in reserves. Otherwise, I have berserks inside both of these transports, and I have the 4-man grav here. I was debating putting them in reserve as well. With the way he deployed, I really kind of think I wish I would have. But they're in here for better or worse, so we'll see if I regret that. But that is it. Let's do the dreaded go first roll. I think Votan want to go first. A 1 to a 5. Oh yeah! Take it, guard, go! Bike's gonna do bike things. We'll come back and see what the first turn movement looks like. Yeah, we'll come back after the movement. All right, I've come out very aggressive. We'll see if that's the way to go. I'm basically conceding all my bikes here. We'll see what the mortars can do. I'm going to try to charge this guy so I can get out of line of sight. I'm going to try to tag these bikes so at least the tanks can't move and I can hold this objective. This is sticky objective, so I put those little markers down to be sticky. And now I'm going to try to shoot some Casterkins. I'm able to get some lines on these Casterkins. I'm going to be able to shoot these troops to try to stop him from op-secking. And then bikes can try to shoot down here on some of his infantry as well. And maybe these horses, just try to do some massive damage to him. And force his tanks to shoot targets that I want him to shoot. And I have berserks and my tank ready for the counter. And hopefully I can still hold guys in position for next turn. All right, the Votan do what the Votan do, and it's also because I roll good and my opponent doesn't. But these bikes split fire. They were just able to see a few guys here, and one guy on top of the roof here could see at his unit of Casterkins, so I was able to shoot. That was the rotary cannon. I did light him up so I can give a judgment token out. I gave it to this tank, and I split fire, so I killed 9 of those guys. I killed 4 of these guys, ended up shooting with some other guys to whittle them down. And then I shot one shotgun here with the calls reroll. I was able to hit it, give it a token. Then over here, this guy had gotten +1 to hit from the Forgemaster, did full rerolls to hits between wounding on 6s and just rolling the wound at close range, all the high AP, blew up the tank. Just outright killed it. Did 5 on the D6 damage shot. Big guns did do work. This guy over here, without any rerolls, just decided to pop off at that empty space that was a tank. Shot it down, failed a bunch of saves.
Did 11 wounds.
11 wounds. I had rolled a 1 for damage, and then I CP'd it into a 6. So big damage. I was able to finish it off with the bikes splitting fire. They also shot at some infantry, caused them to lose a couple guys there. Now we're going to charge. So we're going to try to charge this tank into here to just block him out. We're going to charge over here to tie these tanks up and force him to not be out on my objective. And then these guys are also going to charge a tank. He did shoot his tank when he died. So he hit on 5s and then +1 with his turret. He shot everything here. 3 heavy flamers and 1 big plasma overcharging turret. He did 2 wounds. It was actually not too bad off the math. It was a little low, but surprisingly, I didn't even lose a bike. So the morale is low on the guard side. Votan looking pretty spicy. Let's do some charges, do some work here. I know he'll have a counterattack to kill all the bikes, but that's all part of my plan. All right, the assault phase is over. I was able to use that movement to come over here and tag this tank. This is a sentinel, so not a dreadnought, thankfully. I'm just trying to tuck in here to make this angle tight for him. Ooh, I don't really want to be on that terrain. Over here, the bikes charged a little 4-man. They killed them in combat, and they tagged all the tanks. All the tanks fought back, but I was unfazed. Over here, the one guy, the one lone caster fell, his morale ran. These guys only lost 4. They passed their morale. These guys, they were debating charging this tank. I know he could overwatch. I was debating just to make him spend his CP, but I didn't want to lose a bike for free. And he could pop off with the plasma, so I just decided to try to go for the 9, which let me like jump over the crates and tag these guys, but I failed it. I spent a CP, still didn't get it. So they're just hanging out here. There'll be something for his mortars to have to deal with. So I think I'm okay with that. Pretty good turn. I can't really complain. Everything pretty much went my way. I still got a lot of big guns left. His tanks are really in trouble. I'm toughness 5 now with fortify up, toughness 6 with 6 up, feel no pain. So just flaming me with heavy flamers. Not necessarily going to easily kill those guys, so we'll see what happens. We'll come back after his turn 1 movement and see what he's going to do in his counterattack.
All right, so we're going to try and dig ourselves out of this hole. I have kind of shuffled my second unit of Casterkin around, and everything else has remained like kind of stationary because we want the command squad to be close to the mortars to be able to mortar things. We have a lot of stuff to shoot. We fell back with the sentinel over here. These tanks just stayed in combat because turret weapons allow them to shoot out of combat or into combat, whatever they want to do. With turret weapons, we gave orders for essentially to be +1 to hit and -1 AP. With the mortars to essentially circumvent the negatives for the data sheet or the data slate debuff to indirect fire, and then we ordered our tanks to reroll 1s to hit. Gunners kill on sight. Moved the horses, and they've kind of jumped up here to be able to deal with this over here potentially if it survives. And then, importantly, we teleported our Casterkin back here, and we are going to attempt to rain death on this bike squad, and this little chum tank here. So hopefully the Mortal Factory can begin, and we'll see.
All right, let's try this again. All right, turn 2 is about to start. Let's recap turn 1 shooting. The bottom of my turn, I popped -1 to hit on these bikes. Since they were toughness 6, the flamers were really bouncing off of me. I had 6 up, feel no pain, so he had to shoot me with plasma. He didn't want to risk the bikes staying in there, so he shot all 3 tanks. It took all 3 tanks to finish off those bikes. Glorious. The Casterkins, though, they were the money tanks. Luckily, this is the only one that could jump, right? So he's got that out of his system, but he did kill 2 units of bikes. I made a mistake and left those guys on the objective, so he got bonus points for that. They are sticky, so I meant to push them off. I healed this unit of bikes, so that let them pick up 2 judgment tokens. And then he shot my Sagittar, got down to 1 wound, and then he started shooting with our mortars. 14 shots and then 18 shots. Full 3 6s. I needed 2 up saves. I just failed it on the second volley, so that left the Berserks ready to take saves with no fail, no pains. Then he rolls like 6 or 7 shots, only does like 2 or 3 wounds, and I save. I only took 1 wound. Berserks, they just made some saves. Nobody's hurt. We're like, yes, we're alive. He picked up 2 points for inflexible command. Unfortunately, this guy over here is breaking the chain, and so are those Casterkins. So not as many points there. 2 points for boots, and he did plant 1 banner with these chumps here. Thanks for the judgment token. I put 1 judgment token on this tank for being on the objective, and this guy picked up the token for finishing off the bike. So everyone's like perfectly set up for the beams about to come in for berserks. Berserks are about to do berserk things. All the things are just ready. And he killed 2 things. 3 things. Ooh, he stopped me from getting grind. So close. I only killed 3 things. So, no grind for me on that turn 1. But now, vengeance will be mine. We'll come back. All right, the magic of movie making, you just don't get to see how long that turn took to move like 5 models. But a lot of talking smack.
I also said this will go a lot faster.
I did. I totally said it was going to come in fast, and I have been hauled over like how to move my call, like how critical movement is that. So these guys got tokens. I couldn't see with my call to give them a token, so they're just going to have 2, but we should be plenty to kill there. We have the tank, which more or less has nothing else to shoot at that's relevant. We still picked up 12 on the primary because of the sticky objectives. And then I decided to leave my Thunderkin inside the tank because I didn't really have a good angle. They couldn't quite make it over this wall to shoot. So, and then these berserks are going to come over here. We know we're going to kill that tank. That's the plan. I need a 7-inch charge there. Hopefully that doesn't fall out. These guys came out of the booth as well, so they're fail safe to go kill them as well. We have this tank going to do tank things, and of course Thunderkin coming in from reserves. Joe mistakenly thought that his board edge was this way when it's really that way. So coming in here, they've got the beams lined up for days. They're going to do beam things and then maybe try to hit this 9-inch and tag a bunch of guardsmen. Glorious. Let's do some CPs and then we'll come back after the shooting phase is done. All right, the shooting is done. The beams did work. We whittled this guy down. He didn't kill him, but it whittled him down, and we also whittled this guy down. He's on 4 wounds. Over here, this tank shot. Got him down to 1 wound. Stayed alive. And then I killed the horses with him. And then we had like mole launcher. Just says, in your eye, anytime I kill something with a mole launcher, I've achieved maximum victory. So he blew up the tank. So he's like, I'm going to shoot you when I die. So he shot his turret weapon at me. And he killed only 1 guy. So, not super great. Berserk's doing berserk things. Now they're going to charge. We don't have tokens on all the tanks, unfortunately. I got to hit that 7. That's a big roll. We're going to try to hit this 9. I do have 1 CP left, so if I hit this 9, it could be good. I'd rather use that CP on these guys. So, I may I just hate to sacrifice these guys, but if they don't hit this 9, they could just be dead. Yeah, that's tough. All right, let's roll it right here. Let's do the 9 right here. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. I'm charging. Can you fall? You can't fall back and shoot. I can with my infantry. You can't fall back and shoot with the order.
Yeah, not with the tanks.
Oh, okay. I'll charge both units here. Does that make sense?
That doesn't take an option.
Yeah. Here we go. 9 on the camera. Ah, no. The CP or kill a tank. What's more important right now?
I feel like anything that moves over like.
Let's go with the CP. Need a 9. Ah, it's an 8. Oh, the last CP. All right, we're coming back. All right, I got a little greedy that turn. This guy's toe was just here. I was really playing the charge that way, so he took the Overwatch. He did really good in Overwatch and killed 4 out of the 5 guys. I made the charge. He hit the save, so he's still on 4 wounds. These guys wrecked the tank, even without rerolls. Actually, just barely, but they got him, and then now they tagged that tank, so they're there. We were able to shoot down everything else, so we killed 5 things for this turn, and we picked up the bonus. So from a grind perspective, I killed 5. Should be pretty good. I did pick up 12. He's only going to pick up 4 on the primary, and he's got 1 banner going into turn 2. So see what he's going to do. We're low on guys. I feel like I've been low on guys, but these guys are about to die. But it's going to make him spend resources over there. So I don't think I'm okay with that. He spent all his CP, so he's only going to have 1. So it's good. Over here, he did shoot when he died with this tank, with his turret. He popped off. Was only able to do 6 wounds to me despite rolling pretty good on shots onto wound. So I'm still alive. So tank's alive. Let's go to turn 2.
All right, so incredibly violent game. This is only turn 2, and like I'm almost tabled because But I've also like done a ton of damage back to Thomas too. So like Thomas is probably going to lose a lot this turn. I brought in the ponies over there to try and charge the Sagittar. We're in an interesting spot. All lures went out. These guys are about to just murder. The beam guys that came in, this tank fell back, but we're making it so that we're in range to still get 3 to 5 on the secondary. So it should be interesting. I think I'll kill all the berserks and the the beam dudes over here. But yeah, not a great spot to be in. Just a bloody game in 2 turns.
All right, end of the shooting phase is over. I got a couple morales, maybe. These guys survived. They took the full volley, 6 mortal wounds, 9 saves, and then he was able to see with all 3 mortar squads, dumped all the mortars into them, and I was just hitting 3-ups with Armor of Contempt, just making it. So he survived. I have to take morale though. So he's leadership 8. He lost 4 dudes, so he might run away. Over here, some guns shooting. They got to ignore my feel no pains, so I was able to just hold on with 2 guys. I still have this guy alive, so they will fail morale on a 6. No, a 6. Under half strength. He's okay. I need that 4 for this. 2, he's okay. The beams live. Berserks live. Let's tally up the score. He tried to hit the 9, the YOLO 9. He rolled a snake eyes. He had no CP. They are gonna die a very painful death. We'll be back. All right, we're here. Beginning of the turn, I did pick up grind. Picked up the 12 on the primary. He only picked up 1 on boots and 3 on inflexible command. He didn't kill anything that turn. Rough. Now it's my turn. Over here, we're just stringing out. The tank is just content to just hang out here. We don't really need to push. We're going to have some berserks run in. This guy ran over here, gave him healing. We realized he was within 6, so I made one of the damages count as 0, so I was back to 5 wounds instead of 2. So then I healed from 4, so he's back up at fresh. We're going to just shoot these guys to bits. Our 1 beam guy is going to run over here and just try to punch somebody. And then we got 1 berserk and 1 berserk. My call's moving up. He's got a token, so I'm going to shoot some stuff, but he is half damage, so it probably won't matter. But maybe he'll clip a few wounds. And then, yeah, so we'll come back this turn. We'll be pretty quick. We'll see how much I can kill. All right, end of the fight phase. The berserk charged all 3, did some shenanigans. I passed off some tokens from the call. He did take some wounds from my sniper call. I prevented him from heroically intervening, but I did kill the command squad. Some more banners. This guy fought and killed all the mortars with his 3 attacks, using all the rerolls, and then piled in a touch here. This guy charged both to kind of draw Overwatch. He didn't do it. I touched this guy, piled into here. He took some wounds from full rerolls, but now he's tagged these guys, and he's going to have to spend effort to get out of there. So that's the end of my turn 3. I killed several units for grind, so most likely this may be the last turn. So we'll let him do his thing, and we'll come back at the end of turn 3 and see what the final tally looks like. All right, we're going to call the game there. His turn 3 was very lackluster. Over here, the tank rolled max shots. Between me hitting all the 5s and the Tech Marine making damage count 0, he only did 1 damage to me. I laughed it all off. Over here, these guys picked up a token, killed the 1 guy here. The mortars and the characters killed my 1 berserk. Big Tina here came in and punched my berserk. I just rolled 3 6s out of my 4 saves, and then I made one of the Finial of Pains, only took 1 damage. Sad. I punched him back, took 2 wounds off of him. So she's down to 5, but I still have a unit of Thunderkin inside here. The tank can come up. This tank's about to get fixed and blow up a bunch of infantry. So we went ahead and just called it and scored it up. If I just let him stick in that objective, he'll pick up 4 primaries the whole time. He'll pick up the 4 banners. He's going to get boots and inflexible. So many points on inflexible, even though really he wasn't doing anything. That's an interesting secondary to try to stop. But the damage is done. 20 on the primary, 22 on the secondaries. Votan doing the things. I ended up killing 3 out of the 4 characters for 10.
Oh, right.
I only misgrind that one turn. Apparently my predictions held strong. Votan demolished the guard, 92-52. That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first game back after a long while. Votan, still strong if you know what's going on. I had some lucky breaks going my way for going first against the guard. Those mortars are kind of nuts, but against Votan with Armor of Contempt and you're behind walls and stuff, it's not so bad. So it's interesting here with reserves help me come in from the flanks. That's it for the guard. We'll hit that like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time.